Hello and welcome to the Saturday show. Disclaimer, I'm producing today. First time ever, just had a quick 5-minute video. So if anything goes wrong, it's on me. So we're just going to try and get through it if possible. You'll see that Jordan's here with me. I've pulled the short straw, unfortunately. Mark has he's away this weekend, so we've had to draft in a replacement. We've brought in our second string, but we've brought in another fantasy guru, or self-proclaimed fantasy guru, and we'll go through the usual thing. We'll talk about the matchups, any questions that we've got or get throughout the show. We'll go over fantasy wise. We'll then do fantasy 3, which is going to be hopefully some retribution for me. And then we'll finish up with a fantasy player from each of the games, which again Jordan will put his neck on the line and pick one there. So yeah, welcome Jordan. I'll load the games up. Cheers for joining us. I'm hoping everyone can see them. Can you see them, Jordan?
Yep, absolutely fine. It's a good start for you, isn't it? It's a good start.
Yeah, yes, great success. Obviously we had the Ravens and Dolphins, so we don't really touch on the Thursday game. Bit of a shock. Shock result there. I know a lot of the Dolphins fans saying that it looked like their defense of last year was back. I haven't actually caught up on the game, if I'm honest. Have you seen anything from it?
No, I just saw a couple of highlights from Twitter and stuff. But like I say, it's going to be fun, isn't it? Like obviously Matt does this every week, and I'm sure I would have been talking up the Ravens. So it's a good job we bypassed that game enough. That's the only shock out of it, so I don't look stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll move on to the first one, which obviously Saints and Titans. Both starting running backs out. Kamara's just been declared out, hasn't he? Yeah, so I know they've drafted in Ingram, haven't they? But what's your thoughts on this? Where's this won and lost?
Well, when I was looking just before, Kamara was still up in the air, really. I'd obviously, like you said, if it's come out this morning, that's Kamara were going to be my game guy. He's going to be the one that controls, because obviously Titans last week they struggled against the Rams. They ended up winning, but it went through. It was more the defense that got them through it, really, and obviously Rams' lack of offense, they were quite poor. It was one of them weeks in NFL, like we've talked about a lot this week on both our other podcasts. And I just that were going to be my things. Like Saints defense is one of the best. I think it's got the 4th best defense in the NFL. So if Derrick Henry were playing, you'd be thinking, he should be able to get by it. But I just look at Julio Jones is like being limited practice this week, and it's hard to see where it is going to be won or lost, really. Like, obviously, it's going to be on defense. Both, obviously, they've still got Tannehill, so they'll be looking for AJ Brown as much as possible. Yeah. But I just think it's going to be tough. Ingram's going to get more reps now Kamara's out, and obviously Ingram has been putting up decent numbers over in Texans. So I still think that they'll run the ball a lot, and that'll probably be my best answer where it's going to be one, really, because obviously I just can't see Titans putting too much points on this Saints defense. So as long as I'm going to guess it's, I know Taysom Hill's been back from last week, but it's still been Trevor Seaman and it that's been starting. So if he can move the ball a bit, I think Saints will edge this game. It's going to be low scoring, I'd say.
Yeah, I was surprised. I've had a look at the the handicap, and it's spreads -3 on the Titans. So they've got them as favourites. I thought Saints would have been just edging it here, but I don't know if that's purely based on, obviously Derrick Henry was out. Everyone thought this is the Titans over, and then they go and roll over the Rams. I don't know if the bookies are sort of bought into that as well. But would you be taking Saints +3 here, or would you stay away from this? You thinking how close it is?
I probably wouldn't put it on one of my bets and stuff, but if I had to be pushed, I would back Saints +3. Obviously, I don't know what it was before. Kamara's just, I don't know if it's been -3 all along and stuff, or if it's changed since Kamara's dropped out. So I think if Kamara were playing, I think I'd be all over Saints winning, even with maybe they were -3. I'm not sure what they were before, but I still think they'll have enough. Like you say, it's if you looked at this game at the start of the season, it could have been like a really good game, because obviously both teams are kind of depleted, especially on running backs. But I think Ingram would still have a good game.
Yeah.
He's still a decent running back. Not the caliber of Alvin Kamara out of the backfield and stuff, what he can do, but he's still we have to move the ball for him.
There's not many of Kamara's, is there? Let's face it. No. He's going to be hard to replace. But so then we'll move on. It's great to have you on for this game, isn't it? What an expert. So, absolute some slobber knockers between Seahawks and Packers at the time. I was literally watching this morning the AFC game where you went through to in overtime to the Super Bowl. I think Wilson's, is he officially back for this game?
They've said that he's back. Like I've been saying it all week, so I'll be surprised if he isn't playing on Sunday. They need him. They need him now. They've still got. We mentioned on overtime how open it is in the playoffs. Like we're 3-5 and we still could sneak in if we had a good run. We've got some hard games. And I'm not saying we will, but to have Wilson back in at 3-5 because he's got to play. He's got to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chris, just please beat the Packers, please. Get it, Chris. Divisional, but it's not going to have an effect on your season, I don't think, is it? If Packers lose one here. But yeah, I agree. I can't. We all know I can't stand the Packers, and as much as I think the Yorks out because of Jordan, I don't actually mind them, excluding Russ. It's all about my boy DK. So, what are we looking for here? Where is this won and lost? Is it purely battle of the QBs? This or?
Well, normally, like I said, they've had some like real good games over the last. I think it's like 7 or 8 years, but the last 10 games, the home team's always won. Obviously, the conditions in Seattle and Green Bay are quite unique, over to that side. From obviously Wisconsin and over in Washington, where Seattle is. So obviously. You always have good home teams, and them two are two really good home teams. So obviously Packers are at home in this one, so you would favour them. But I don't know what you've got for the swing, for either side of the Packers and thingy. But I would probably favour Packers. But I think it'll be a close one because both teams have got really different red zones. If you look at Seattle, I think they're really low down on defense. I think they were before the bye, I think they were 30th on defense. How many yards they allow, and I think they were 32nd on running.
Yeah.
On against the run, but they were the 5th in red zone defense.
Yeah, because almost bend up rate.
And I think they've only let I can't remember what it is now. I think it's they've had 20 visits to the red zone opposition, and we've allowed 15 touchdowns. I think it is, but they're just. Oh no, sorry, it's 31 visits. And 31 visits they've allowed the opposition, and then the opposition's only come away with 15 touchdowns. They're very stingy in the red zone, and obviously the Green Bay are totally the opposite. They've had opposition have had 24 visits to the end zone, and they've let in 20 touchdowns. Green Bay, so they're totally opposites and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's where stats can fool you. Seattle's defense is bad. They'll let you march up the field for fun, but when it comes to the red zone, and Green Bay are normally one of the best red zone offenses. I think they had the record for red zone last year, but they're struggling in the red zone as well. But so that's going to be a key thing, I think, when it comes to red zone. Seattle are going to have to try and keep them to field goals when they can. To stay in this game, and obviously, hopefully, Russ is back up to speed. Obviously, he's been off. He had the bye week last week, but he's missed 4 games. And stop the run. I think Seattle stopping the run is going to be a big thing. I'm not sure if they can do it. It's going to be hard, but stopping the run, and if they can limit him in red zone and keep it close, they'll have a chance. But I hate to say it, but I still think Packers will take this because they're at home.
It's only a -3 there, the spread, but yeah, it is in Packers' favour. And I think what you're saying there is, if you were forced, you'd have to take that one. It's one of those bets. I like it. If Spurs aren't playing a favourite. If Spurs are playing like a City, and you think right, City going to lever them, I don't mind putting City on a bet, because if it loses, it means the Spurs have won. And it's the same with the Giants sort of thing. It's like a win-win bet.
Yeah,
I often bet against my team. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. It should. I don't want to say it and jinx it, but it's never a boring game, is it? So looking forward. The next one, I think, again, is another mint game, and it's going to be a struggle not to stay up for it. Divisional, 2 teams that up until the Raiders had all the controversy, Raiders were doing really well, and the Chiefs have started to struggle. But Chiefs versus Raiders, form goes out the window for me. So one I'm looking forward to sort of watching. But thoughts on this? I know Mark wants you to really talk up the Chiefs here with the kiss of death. But where is this won and lost? Is it dealing with Mahomes? Is it forcing him to miss the reads that he's been missing most of the season, according to the Chiefs fans, and didn't look good when he played us? What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that's it. Obviously we have this kind of running joke on overtime where we start talking teams up and they are our players and they just flop the next week. So I think that's why Mark wants me to talk the Chiefs up. But it's hard to really, because they're just struggling by. Obviously they're still in touch. Like if they do turn it around to get into playoffs, that's how close it is. Ridiculous this season, isn't it? There's no apart from the Cardinals who only just lost one game. Everyone else has lost two or three, and it's tight. But you saw the Giants against Chiefs a few weeks ago, and you saw how they played. The two high safeties, and I think we talked about this last week on overtime, saying that they're going to Mahomes, right? Just beat me with short passes, see if you can do it. And Mahomes, for some reason and stuff, I don't know. This is where you'd love to know what's going on the sideline, on behind the scenes, because is Andy Reid getting around him and saying, look, just be patient. You don't want to find that long ball, but you can't. And you try to force these balls in. That's why you've seen so many turnovers.
Yeah.
This offensive line has not been great. From obviously, granted, they've got quite a few rookies on there, and I know that obviously both right tackles, Lucas Niang and Mike Remmers, are out this week for Chiefs, and it looks like a guy called Andrew Ryle, who I don't know much about, speaks volumes of who's playing at right tackle for him. So Max, I think it's Max Crosby. I'm sure Mark will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure Max Crosby gets most reps from the left side. He might switch around. So could have a field day on that right side, putting pressure on Mahomes, and if they can keep putting pressure on him, like we've seen, Giants should have come away with that win. Giants should have won that game. They put him under so much pressure, and said, all right, if you double, because what I loved about what I watched that Giants game, they only rushed 4 players. Four players, and you've got 7, to cover. That leaves you two on Kelsey and 2 on Hill. Yeah. And you still got 3 to cover the rest of them. You know what I mean? So if you're double teaming them 2 and keep them out of the game, that's what's happening a lot. You're looking at Nicole Hardman and things like that. We're okay, but you can cover them one-on-one with with players, and it's just, and that's what's stopping Chiefs. And they need to find a way to counter that. And at the moment, they're just not. So that's why I just think, I don't know. I just fancy Raiders again. Mark will hate me saying that, but I just can't see. I can't. Raiders had obviously didn't have a good game against you, and that's the way the season's going. Look at Cowboys last week. Who would have saw that coming with Broncos?
Yeah.
But I still think overall Raiders have been good on offense, and I think they'll have a bit too much for the Chiefs again this week.
I don't understand what the Chiefs are doing. So obviously, like you say, I watched the game against the Giants, and we went with 2 high safeties, and then they made the change. So obviously, Andy Reid is predominantly, he passes more than he rushes, and I get it because you've got Mahomes, but they chose to run the ball with that young kid Gore, because we stayed 2 high safety and we weren't bringing another into the box, and they were running all over us. And the drive they had, they just pounded us, got into the end zone, straightforward, and then they just abandoned it. Even mid game when it was working, they abandoned it. And I'm not sure why. Surely you watch that tape back and go, okay, teams are doing this now. They're putting 2 high safeties in against Mahomes. They're putting a QB spy on him. We did that all game. And like you say, you double coverage on Tyreek and double coverage on Kelsey. And Kelsey had a stink of that game. He forced fumble. I think he had 3 receptions for, negligible yards. And surely you need to adapt to change how you're playing, because the Chiefs have got all that talent. They shouldn't be. What are they now? Are they 4-4 now, or are they 4-5?
I'm sure they're.
Or are they positive now?
I can find out for you, but they're either. I think they are 4-5, aren't they? I think I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
pretty sure they are.
And that shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't have the Chiefs with all this talent being. I'm sure, aren't they bottom of their division?
They are. Now Broncos are bottom. They're 5-4 actually.
Right. Okay.
5-4. But Yeah, the Broncos are 5-4 as well, and Chargers and Raiders are 5-3, so it's close. So that's what I mean. It's just still there. That's why they need to.
Yeah.
It's like you said there with the running game. What is that? Is that obviously we don't know, do we? We don't know what goes on the sideline. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Is that like being too scared of taking the ball away from Mahomes so much? Even no matter how much you are, no matter how good you are, you've got to, as a coach, you've got to say, look, this isn't working. Let's take the ball more out of Mahomes' hand. But is Reid reluctant to do that because Mahomes and he's on so much money? He seems like a laid back guy, Mahomes, most of the time. And apart from on the field, when your emotions get better, but off the field, you don't seem like someone who would sulk. But maybe
the thing is, you start off with the run. They go two safety. You start off with the run and you pound them. They're going to bring one of those safeties down, and then right, here you go, Mahomes. You get the ball. Enjoy, and it takes a bit of pressure off him. But it's interesting. I'm loving watching it because they were heavily, and rightly so, heavily favoured to go all the way again this year. And it's just like you say, this season's been a bit weird, hasn't it? And their forefront of that. The spread is, I mean, they're still favourites. They're minus 2.5. So you'd be taking the Raiders here, 2.5.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big key matchup to D-line. It's so obvious to say in it, but it's the D-line against the O-line, and I think the Raiders D-line will just have a bit too much for them over the game, and we've seen we've seen it all season. As soon as Mahomes put under pressure, he's pedaling backwards. He hasn't got that long ball. He's just struggled, and well, like I say, I would have said that the Ravens would have beat the Dolphins. So
who knows
if the Chiefs can change up the game plan and do what's best for the team rather than, that's what it seems like, doesn't it? It seems what they're doing what's best for Mahomes rather than the team. It's getting the ball in his hand and thinking, oh yeah, it'll come good eventually. But there's a point, and this is the point now mid-season where it's like, right, do we need to change it up and maybe see less throws from Mahomes and we might see that, you know what I mean? Who knows? You don't know until the day. But if I had to go on what we've seen already, I'd be taking the Raiders plus, what do you say, +2 right now?
3.2.5, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be taking that.
And then finally, Rams 49ers. Obviously, Rams just acquired OBJ. So naturally, have to now be my second team. And 49ers, as we all know, JP despises at the moment and says they're an utter trash franchise. Is it as straightforward as a Rams rolling the 49ers over here, or have they got a chance?
I hate to say it, but if the Rams bounce back, if that last week was just a blip, I think it's a Rams win. And normally I wouldn't say that when it's like a conference game, like a rival game. But I think JP put it in the main chat that they're just decimated by injuries, and they could have most of the cornerbacks and safeties out. I think Jimmy Ward. I think I read somewhere that he's going to be fine, but you've got Dre Fitzpatrick, Taven Williams, Tavarius Moore, and Mosley and Norman potentially out. And if Stafford is back to his best, he were appalling last week. He were awful. If they're back up to see, it's just going to be wide open. Cup, Woods. I don't know how many reps OBJ will get. He'll be on the field, I think, and stuff. We'll probably start seeing more of him the week after. But so he'll be there. You've got Van Jefferson that everyone's forgot about. So I've seen all images come up saying, "Oh, look, you've got Cook, Woods, OBJ." Van Jefferson's been playing well this year as well. Yeah, so you've got all them four, and they're just going to them four against the depleted 49ers defensive back and Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead might not be playing on the line as well, so defensive line. So
good.
I can't. It's hard to talk up 49ers. To be honest with you. I apologise, JP, but I'm sure you'd be agreeing with me.
He wants the kiss of death on the Rams, surely. I mean, it's minus. I think the spread's quite shit. If I'm honest, it's -4. Like I would have expected 7.5 at least. So I don't think as a San Fran you go anywhere near that. You take the Rams minus there without a doubt. Would you have a dabble on OBJ for a touchdown? It's 11-4. It's boosted to.
I don't. It would be. It's one of them in it where, like you mentioned, like Tottenham and stuff. When someone in football and in soccer, when someone scores on the debut, normally scores, don't they?
Yeah.
So you'd be tempted to, but I just don't know. Like you said, we might see more reps than expected, but I don't think they'd rush him into the scheme and stuff and everything. And too much routes because they've already got the three good wide receivers there, and obviously they've got Tyler Higbee as well at tight end. They're just this is a win now move, isn't it? You know, they're so stacked. You know, getting Von Miller as well on defense. You know, who's had limited practice this week, but I'm sure they won't need him.
Yeah,
sure they won't need him against Jimmy G and the 49ers offense. Again, JP will agree with me as well. It sounds like I'm just giving as a Seahawk fan giving 49ers stick, but I'm sure he'll agree.
Yeah, agreed. So obviously that covers the matchups there. You spoke about Stafford, which leads us nicely. We've only got one question this week, but Chris was asking whether to start Stafford or Herbert at QB, and obviously you'd like to think that Stafford would have a field day against the 49ers, but then there's that, do they get that far ahead that they then run the ball? So what's your thoughts here? Would you go Stafford? Would you go Herbert?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I'd probably go Stafford, but that's the only concern in it. Like, hopefully it stays close, so he keeps on throwing it. But I think if the Chargers have they got Vikings?
The Vikings, yeah.
And so yeah, I can't. I'm just trying to find out how many.
That could be a shootout. To be fair, Chargers Vikings.
Yeah, they don't give up much passing yards. Do Vikings as well. I'm just looking to give up an average of 247. You know, a game. So I'd probably go for Stafford and hope it stays close for a while and he gets it. Especially like when you're looking at something like that, if they are going to get away, hopefully all the touchdowns earlier, passing ones rather than running ones, so at least get some points on their thing. But I don't think there might not even be much in it. To be honest with you, I think they could easily both get about 20, around about 22, 23 points. So I'd probably favour just with the 49ers injuries, I'd probably favour Stafford bounce back in.
Yeah. Like Gaz says there, surely if he's not close, then Stafford has already bailed out. Like you say, the risk is he might bail ball out to the red zone and then they rush it in. You know, they've got Henderson and Sony Michel, haven't they? So they've got a choice to be going. But yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd probably be looking at Stafford there. So that moves us on to, like I say, a bit of retribution here. I'm going to play a bit of a video which shouldn't really be played in my control, but I think week one, we got a bit cocky about fantasy football. I'll roll it so we can see. Touch whilst Geordie's obviously active in the chat. I just wanted to make sure. Quite a while ago, we did our fantasy draft, and pretty sure he put a prediction in the group somewhere. Unfortunately, I can't find it. Otherwise, I would have already been on this. But Jordan and I played each other week one, and he was very confident about beating me based on projected stats. The little analytical loser. Just to be clear, Patrick Queen is not going to get 20 points tonight, so I'll take that week one victory. Thank you very much. Yeah, so it wasn't a good shout for me, which predominantly seems to be a bit of a pattern on these podcasts. But this is it. This is Retribution Week. This is where I get the chance to redeem myself with, thankfully, only 3 picks here, and not having to, because that was in our IDP league as well, wasn't it? So obviously Patrick McQueen was one of the individual defensive players, which absolutely rinsed me, which was a nightmare.
I don't think anyone saw it coming though, did they? To be fair, even I thought, it's all over. But
I was fuming when I woke up.
With the Monday night game, I woke up on Tuesday morning and just saw it. I was like, oh my god, comedy gold here.
Killer. It was a killer. You got like forced fumble and a numerous amount of tackles. I'm just like, for God's sake, why have you done this to me? But yeah, so Fantasy 3 this week. I've gone for quarterback. I've gone for Tom Brady versus Washington. I mean, we say it with Mark, like it's hard to pick the big names you don't want to, but on a QB, they're all big names. You're going to be picking them. I'll probably pick the biggest, obviously, but I've read that Washington, in regards to fantasy football, have been giving wide receivers 2 times more points than any other team, which is an interesting stat for me. And I'm looking at Brady and Washington and just haven't performed anywhere near what people would expect, especially defensively this year. And I'd like to think that Brady's just going to have a field day there. I know you probably think that Tampa are going to win based on who your running back pick is, but we'll go on to that shortly. My running back, I've gone Najee Harris, playing the Lions. I think it speaks for itself. Like to think he'd be getting 2 touchdowns there. And then wide receiver, I've gone for Michael Pittman at the Colts versus the Jags. Seems to be Wentz's go-to man, and Jags are the Jags. They're coming off a high against the Bills. Can't see them repeating that. Hopefully don't see them repeating that. And again, I know you probably got the Colts winning there. So we'll allow your 3. Fire away. How are you going to try and beat me this week?
Well, it's like you mentioned, you showed the VR, didn't you? And I've got you on ropes, and I really, you don't want if I win, I don't know.
There's no coming back from it.
If you're going to take a few weeks off. So I know you mentioned that you don't want to go for the star, so I went for a bit out there reach to try and beat you with these 3. So obviously I picked Carson Wentz for quarterback against the Jags, who I think is obviously against the Jags. I think he'll be good anyway. Like he has. A lot of people criticise him, but he's had some good games this year as well as like some bad ones. And I think he's got them dump off balls with Taylor and Hines as well, not just like passing, and that gets him a lot of yards. So I've gone for Wentz for the Colts against Jags. I've gone for Leonard Fournette against Washington, obviously Bucs player. I think he's having a really good season. He's made that number 1 running back spot his own from Ronald Jones, hasn't he, really? Ronald Jones comes in now and then, especially at back ends when Tampa have normally run away with it. But he's 1-2. Sometimes third down back as well. Now, obviously, I know they've got Bernard there as well, but he still plays 1-2-3 now and then. And then I've gone for Elijah Moore, which is a random one, but I fancy Elijah Moore for the Jets. Mike White's back this week, and I know it's against the Bills, but I think Elijah Moore will pick up the most targets for the Jets this week and maybe bag a couple of late touchdowns, even though they'll probably still lose the game. But
he got 2 on Thursday, didn't he? Was his first TD on Thursday? I think he got 2 on Thursday, didn't he, for the Jets?
Yeah, over a week, yeah. Against the Colts, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Late on, so that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for late fourth quarter points for Elijah Moore.
Garbage points. Absolutely. Like you say, it's one of those. I think if you pick up the win here, I might have to have a couple of weeks holiday because I don't know if I can face it. This is my chance to bring it back here 1v1, and then we'll have to have a best out of 3 somehow. So we'll wrap up again. Bring the fixtures up here. Normally do 1 standout fantasy pick from each. And yeah, over to you. So Saints v Titans. I'd imagine it would have been Kamara. Who are you looking at now?
Yeah, I had a ring round him. I didn't really, like I said, I was looking last night before I came on. Now it was still like it was going to be a game time decision over the weekend. Yeah. Obviously, when it's a big blow for him because I thought that were easy win if Kamara were there. I think he'd dominate him. But so it obviously leaves Ingram, and I think if you've got Ingram, like if you can put him in a flex somewhere, I still think he'll put up decent numbers. Like if Saints get near goal line, he'll come in. And could easily have about a 70-80 yard game at least. We were doing that for the Texans. Yeah, he's still got tread on the tires. Ingram, he's still a good running back. So I probably favour him, and I had AJ Brown there, but I'd stick with Ingram. I know, like obviously AJ Brown's such a good receiver, but they've struggled at times. Like trying to find AJ Brown this year. He's not been as good as pinpoint, Tannehill as he has done last year, especially. So yeah, I'd probably stick with Ingram.
Seahawks v Packers.
I've got to go Aaron again, running back again. Seahawks give so many run. I think they give up 127.6 yards to running backs. Like this year, to rushing game. It's outstanding. They're so bad at stopping it, and Derrick Henry run all over him. So yeah, I'd probably go Aaron Jones. But if you've got AJ Dillon stashed and you're struggling, I don't know how many people on bye this week. If you've got AJ Dillon stashed, I'd probably put him in your flex if you're struggling as well. He'll probably pick up some yards. They'll rotate around with him.
Yeah.
And then obviously Devante Adams is there as well. He'll probably might get a few red zone touchdowns. But I'd stick with the running backs there against Seahawks because they cannot stop the run to save their life.
Chiefs and Raiders. Interesting one.
I'm gonna put this guy on instead of Elijah Moore just to maybe humiliate you more. I'm going to put Hunter Renfrow on there. Hunter Renfrow. But I thought, no, that's just too cocky, that, isn't it? But I think Hunter Renfrow might have a good game. And obviously, I expect Derek Carr to have a good game as well. I think he'll be throwing the ball all over. And I just couldn't. I'm just really reluctant to pick a Chiefs player, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it, from last year? But I just wouldn't know.
It's a lottery, isn't it, with how they're performing?
Yeah, like obviously Hill's still put up, I think, 700 yards for the year still, which is still good. But yeah, I'd probably go Renfrow, Darren Waller maybe, but Derek Carr and Renfrow. I think Renfrow will have a good day, I think.
Yeah. And then Rams v 49ers.
Pick your wide receiver, whatever you've got from Rams, to be honest with you. Like, I'd probably say Cooper Kupp because he's had a fantastic season, and Van Jefferson. But it could be anyone from the Rams. They've got that much pick your poison, innit? I could not say Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods are definitely going to be standouts. Because it could be any of them. But I think a lot of them will have decent fantasy points. Even the running back, especially Henderson. And I think Mark's mentioned it in the past on these podcasts. If you're going to pick someone from 49ers, there's only Deebo Samuel that seems to be putting up numbers. So, yeah. Anyone you want from Rams, sorry, JP.
That's perfect. To be fair, some good timing there. Managed to fit that in just over half an hour. That's sort of what we wanted from the Saturday show. Half an hour to 45 minutes, just a quick blitz going over it. Cheers for filling in, George. Really appreciate it. It's nice to have a fantasy expert on. Not that Mart isn't, but...
we'll see. Like after this weekend, if they're all going to flop and everyone's going, I thought you got fantasy expert on.
Yeah, absolutely. That is what we're hoping for, 100%. But no, looking forward to watching some of the fixtures. No doubt, I'll be chatting to you in the group about it. But yeah, thanks, mate, and thanks anyone for watching. We'll see you obviously on Monday, back on the normal third and short show, and then obviously Thursday with the overtime. And we'll be back next Saturday. Take care, guys.